What is your top political value and what is your top Jewish value? And tell us the ways that President-elect Donald Trump either embodies or contravenes those values.
For the ADL, I think one of our most prized values is pluralism.
Top Jewish value, I would have to say, is the innate dignity of every single human being, all of us as children of God. Thank you, Jonathan.
You asked me what my number one Jewish value is debate, but with humility. I think that's been sorely lacking in this election.
My Jewish values are my political values, and my political values are my Jewish values, and I don't think you can or should separate the two. If we don't formulate the way we look at the world, the challenges of public policy and politics, based on our morals, our ethics, our values, and our heritage, I'm not sure where we should draw those lessons from.
Look, it was a very tough campaign. And already it would seem, as they say, that elections have consequences.
The kind of language that was used, the dog whistles that we heard, the explicit statements of attack against vulnerable minority populations. I'm talking about LGBT people. I'm talking about Muslims and Mexicans and others. The permission that was given to attack Jews. These things are completely not parallel to having a second email server.
This was a very painful election for a lot of people who I don't think made a very casual decision to vote against the things that they value in terms of minorities and LGBT rights and abortion and all of those things. They voted because, and the email server was a bigger deal than you're giving it credit for. And I think sometimes when we do that and we throw that out and we get a standing round of applause, I think that's the echo chamber.
I don't believe that everybody who voted for Trump is a racist or an anti-Semite or a bigot, but I do believe that there was a certain amount of willful blindness toward those dog whistles and those explicit statements that were bigoted, anti-Semitic, and racist and misogynistic in order to support a candidate whose fiscal policies you might have preferred or whose Israel approach you might have preferred. And I think that is a moral crisis for our country.
Are you saying that 30% of the Jewish community was exercising willful blindness and lax decency?
It's not only 30% of the Jewish community, it's 47% of the country. Yes, I believe that we have a moral crisis in the country today. And by the way, we all live in an echo chamber, and everybody's in a bubble.
Is anyone on this panel seriously alarmed about rising anti-Semitism in America, either from the left or the right?
Literally, the explosion of swastikas that we've seen since Election Day is stunning. It is like a contagion or a virus, and they are showing up everywhere.
I think we see an antipathy toward Jewish privilege, toward Jewish power, and in some cases toward Jewish people, coming both from the right and from the left. I don't think that they are equivalent to one another. I think they're both dangerous.
I don't think the question is whether there are more anti-Semites in the world today than there were 10 or 20 or 50 years ago. To me, the difference is not the numbers, but the fact that every one of them has their own television network. Every one of them, to be more specific, has one of these.
Tweeting out messages from white supremacists when you are aspire to be the President of the United States is a problem. Period.
What should the Jewish response be to Trump's proposed Muslim ban or Muslim registry?
I find it astonishing that there is not more of a universal outcry in the Jewish community about this. Because of our history, because of our values, because of who we believe ourselves to be in the world.
And I think it is too early to say what this new administration will do. We just yet don't know.
I have been making incorrect predictions about Donald Trump for the last 17 months, and I have no intention of fixing that record right now.
While I agree with Jonathan that we have no idea where this is going to go and where he'll lead us, I think we've been given some very strong indications.
What is the significance of Trump having Jewish kin, and how might that impact the Jewish community?
The notion of having Jewish children who are Shomer Shabbos is really, in the first family, is a pretty remarkable thing.
Forgive me for not being too reassured by the presence of Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner at the Shabbos table at the White House.
I'm simply pointing out that it's complicated. And I'm simply pointing out that, painting this in broad brush, good, bad, is not necessarily so easy to do.
The chief rabbinate of the Sephardic community and the chief rabbinate of the Ashkenaz community came out and announced that, do not worry, Ivanka Trump her conversion is going to be approved. Not to worry, the standards are going to change. That's actually, I know it seems like a little snippet and funny and maybe Hollywood-esque news. That's massive.
I'm sorry, but I don't believe that she's going to be our Queen Esther in this case.
Those who say he doesn't understand us and has no connection to us are wrong. He does. That doesn't, again, give him a get-out-of-jail-free card.
Rabbi Segal, many in the Orthodox community, including a majority of Shalhevet students here, voted for Trump in a mock election. So even though a majority of Jews voted for Hillary Clinton, how do you explain this split?
It was something like 54% in support of Trump, 46% in support of Hillary Clinton. First of all, I was stunned, to be honest. If you would have asked me before the election, this mock election, how our student body would have voted, I would have almost guaranteed you that it was something like 70-30 Clinton. That was my assumption. And so when the mock election results came out, I actually had a moment of deep self-reflection.
Dan, you were an advisor to a USC LA Times poll that, contrary to popular polling results, showed Trump consistently ahead for a very long while. But you also said that the reason this particular poll stood apart was because it actually measured the intensity of Trump support. So how do you explain the reasons for the zealousness with which Trump supporters supported him?
The question we asked is, on a scale of 0 to 100, how certain are you of your vote? And what our poll showed all summer and fall long is that while more Americans supported Hillary Clinton than Donald Trump, Trump's supporters were much more motivated, much more fervent, and much more certain in their support than Clinton's.
We have come to a point where there are lots of people who we work with, people we respect, people who are our friends and colleagues, who planned on voting for Donald Trump, knew that when they got in the voting booth they were going to vote for Donald Trump, but didn't tell that to anybody. They didn't tell that to their friends at Shabbat tables or at their workplaces. They didn't tell that to the pollsters. And I think that is a moment for, whoa.